Today we're talking about how to make dieting exponentially easier. Dieting can be hard and about 90% of diets fail. That's a real statistic, by the way. But there is a way to make sure your diet never fails again. There is a science-backed method where you can strategically eat more to lose more weight. This is exactly how I lost 35 pounds of body fat and kept it off. By the way, I'm Roshan. I'm studying exercise science and this is all I do all day long. Let's dive in. So first of all, we know that dieting sucks and it is a form of stress. And that's honestly why so many people fail their diets. They're under the stress of the diet for way too long, and that stress builds up over time, and then they end up getting burnt out and abandoning the diet. And this burnout from dieting is referred to as diet fatigue. It's basically where you just get tired as hell from the diet and you end up getting mentally, emotionally, sometimes physically exhausted from the diet. It also causes a spike in cravings. And the reason that happens is because your body wants you to consume high calorie foods. It knows that very tasty, hyper palatable foods are very high in calories, so it will make you crave those foods. And cravings combined with the hunger is so dangerous when it comes to dieting. Diet fatigue also causes irritability, so you're gonna be more likely to get stressed out, upset, or just lash out at someone. This happens to me during diets as well. A prime example or a good example that I can use is whenever Ramadan happens, on the first few days of the fast, I'm super irritable because no eating, no drinking for a certain amount of time, and I'm just so irritable and I get like the smallest inconvenience just pisses me off. Diet fatigue happens basically for survival reasons. We have the lizard brain and then we have the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is pretty much what we use to reason and basically the human aspect of us. And the lizard brain is the more animalistic part. It's the part that makes you wanna eat food to survive, look for temperature regulation so that you're not too hot, you're not too cold so you don't die. Basically, all survival reasons for lizard brain. And obviously the lizard brain knows your weight is a direct result of what you're eating. So what it will do is it will try to get you to eat back as much calories as possible so that you regain your weight because it sees that diet as a threat to survival. And the lizard brain will go to very far lengths and do everything it can to get what it wants. It will slow down metabolism, and if diet fatigue is too high and your hunger and cravings are way too high as well, and you're starting to get burnt out, which translates in the context of dieting to low willpower. If you don't have much willpower and you're very hungry and craving a lot of things, you're gonna abandon your diet. You're gonna go eat cookies, burgers, pizza, ice cream, cake. And then obviously abandoning the diet means you go back to eating the way you used to, which means you don't lose any weight. So if the lizard brain is so strong, how do we continue with our diet and lose body fat? First, you need to accept and respect your biology. Your body does what it does for your best interest. We're going to go ahead and use what the biology is doing, how the body works to our advantage. So how do we do that? By incorporating diet breaks. A diet break is pretty much when you bring your calories back up to maintenance calories. And the goal of it is, honestly, it's in the name, diet break, right? It's to give you a break from the diet so that you're not so tired of this shit, right? And also we're going to maintain the progress we've made during the diet break. And when you take a break from the diet, your hunger and cravings will come down, and you also get a potential metabolism boost. There's a study that took 51 obese men and split them into two groups. Both groups were in a calorie deficit for 16 weeks. Group B dieted for 2 weeks and then ate more calories to maintain their weight for 2 weeks. And this intermittent cycle of dieting for 2 weeks and then eating more calories to maintain their weight for 2 weeks was repeated 8 times. And the findings were Group B lost more body fat and maintained more muscle mass than Group A. Group B's metabolism also slowed down far less than Group A's did. And 6 months after the diet ended, Group B was able to keep off far more weight than the people from Group A. To summarize the study, taking breaks while dieting helps a lot. And it helps lose actual body fat, maintain muscle mass, your metabolism doesn't slow down as much, and you actually keep the weight off after the diet. So diet breaks are the tool to fight the attempts of the lizard brain to get you to gain your body weight back. And the reason I think the diet breaks helped so much during the study is because the lizard brain thinks that whenever we go into a calorie deficit, we're losing weight, and then the lizard brain is like, oh shit, we gotta gain the weight back, blah, blah, blah. So what we do then is we go ahead and increase our calories during the 2-week diet break. And what happens is the lizard brain gets to relax because it sees, oh wait, we actually have more food coming in. Let me just tone down the hunger because we're not actually starving. So we basically signal to the brain, or the lizard brain, I mean, that we're not actually starving and we're good to go. You don't need to ramp up hunger. You don't need to ramp up cravings. I also think it's just amazing to just get a break from the diet for a week or two, because you're just like, dieting sucks. And I mean, yeah, there's like the biological and the physiological aspect of it, but then there's also the human aspect of it where you just want to kind of enjoy life, right? You want to eat more food, you want to go out with your family, all of those things. And you can do that during diet breaks. And again, to do a diet break properly, you need to bring your calories back up to maintenance calories and maintain the progress you've made so far with the diet. And if you're still doubting diet breaks, then think about it like this. If you were constantly working under stress for a very tough work week, right? A full weekend of relaxation and time off goes ahead and recharges you for the next Monday to Friday, and you're gonna be able to handle the work a lot better than if you didn't take the weekend off. Pretty much the same thing here. Diet breaks are like the weekend to your weekdays or work days. You want to maximize relaxation and recovery so that you can do another phase of dieting and then you've made progress. But there is one problem with the diet breaks we've been talking about so far. The diet breaks in the study are 2 weeks long, and that's half a month spent not losing body fat. So what we want to do is get it over with as soon as possible while keeping our sanity. So how long should we diet for, and how long should the diet break be? I think instead of doing a 2-week diet break, 1 week is more than enough. 1 week of eating more should wear off diet fatigue pretty well. And in my personal experience, 1 week is really good to go. Like if I'm eating more calories and I'm eating relatively well throughout the whole diet, then what happens is by the end of the 1 week, I'm actually ready to do another few weeks of dieting and I'm ready to go. So I'm like, all right, so let's do it. I feel better, I feel good. I'm ready to do another fat loss phase is what we call the dieting phase. And I think 2 weeks is just a little bit overkill and wasted time. Instead, we can shorten the diet break and get an asymmetric result. And so what I think is a good ratio of dieting is after we've taken that 1 week of diet break, we're fully recovered and ready to go for the next work week, which I think should be 4 weeks of dieting. And over that 4 weeks, depending on your weight loss rate, let's say you're losing about 1 pound per week, 1 pound of body fat per week, that is 4 pounds of body fat for the next 4 weeks. And that consistent weight loss rate will keep the motivation high because you're seeing results throughout the whole diet. And also, since you're fully recovered, you're also feeling ready to go for the first 2 weeks. You won't feel the effects of the diet fatigue. But by the time the 4 weeks ends, you're gonna be a little bit, diet fatigue, a little bit cranky, a little bit hungry, cravey. And so what you're gonna do is just push through that 4th week. And then after you finish that 4th week, we have that 1 week of diet break to fall back on. So 4 weeks of dieting to 1 week of diet break. And again, the diet break is bringing calories back up to maintenance calories. If you're not sure what maintenance calories are, I have a video you can check out here. But essentially, it's the amount of calories that you need for you to maintain your body weight. But if you don't think the 4-week dieting, 1 week diet break is not right for you, then please feel free to experiment and see what works for you. If you think the 2-week dieting and 2-week diet break helps you, and it actually helps you keep the weight off, then I recommend doing that for yourself. And don't feel bad if you end up finding out that 2 weeks of dieting and then 2 weeks of a diet break is exactly what helps you, because even though the diet might take some time to get you the results you want, those results are gonna stay forever because you now understand how to diet correctly and you're able to stick to it long term. A diet break is not stuff your face with the highest calorie foods possible, okay? It is to make sure that you're maintaining the progress you've made. If you stuff yourself with the highest calorie foods possible, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna end up regaining weight because you're gonna go over your maintenance calories. And a good way to make sure that you're not going over your maintenance calories is to track your calories during the diet break. Especially during the diet break, you need to track your calories because the brain subconsciously skews your perception of food and the portions of it. And if your perception of food portions are skewed, then you're gonna be very optimistic. You're gonna think, oh, this fried chicken has only 80 calories, but in reality it has 300 calories. And if you're doing that over time and consistently for a week, you're gonna be ruining your progress that you've made over the last 4 weeks. And again, the diet break does not mean eat like a fat ass. It means maintain the progress you've made within the last 4 weeks and give yourself some more calories, some more energy to wear off the diet fatigue. And another easy way to make sure that you're not going over your calorie intake is eating healthy foods. I would recommend 80 to 90% of your daily calorie intake during the diet break should come from healthy foods. This is because healthy foods are just much less calorie dense, which means they fill you up more but have less calories in them. If you feel like having some junk food during the diet break, you absolutely can. Just make sure it fits within your calorie intake, and using that guideline of 80 to 90% of your diet being healthy, clean foods You can have 20% of your calories from the daily intake coming from whatever junk food you want. Maybe if you want a slice of pizza, you want ice cream, you want chips, whatever you want, just make sure it's that small sliver of the maintenance calories and not majority of it, because then those foods are not as filling, which means you're gonna be much more likely to go over your maintenance calories. So that whole dieting cycle of 4 weeks of dieting and 1 week of diet break is called a mesocycle. So even though you've run a mesocycle of a diet break and a dieting phase, your body still wants to regain the weight. For example, let's say you were 200 pounds at the start of the diet, and now you're at 184 pounds. The body wants to be back at 200 pounds because that's what it's used to. It wants homeostasis. This is called set point theory. To counteract set point theory, we need to get the body used to this new body weight before trying to lose any more weight. Why? Because the diet fatigue might still be kind of high even if you took those diet breaks during the fat loss phases. So your body will drive up hunger and cravings, and as a result, you'll be much more susceptible to eating more bullshit, for the lack of a better term. Even if you took weekends off during a stressful period at work, you're really stressed out during that period of work, right? And so you need a vacation after a pretty stressful period of work so that you're fully recovered and rejuvenated after the vacation for the next few months of stressful or hard work. Pretty much the same thing here. We're going to maintain the body weight for a certain amount of time, which means we bring our calories back up to maintenance and relax for a few months, go on that vacation, which is longer than a 1 week diet break. It's called the maintenance phase, where we bring the calories back up to maintenance calories and we make sure to relax and maintain that body weight in order for the body to first set that body weight as the new set point. And also during that time, while you're eating more food, your diet fatigue is gonna be way low. It'll be gone basically by the end. And then if you wanna diet some more, then you can go ahead and diet for a few more mesocycles to lose some more weight. The human body adapts all the time, okay? And it sets new baselines all the time. For example, the Eskimos are much more adapted to the cold than us regular folks, right? But their body has adapted to that situation and they have a new set point. Another example I can use is there is an Indonesian tribe. They grew up in an area where they used to deep dive for a fish in the water, and over time they've adapted to be underwater and do dives up to 12 to 14 to 15 minutes. That's because their body has set that new base point, that new baseline. And so what we want to do in the dieting aspect with the body is get the body to understand that this new weight is our set point and this is the weight that we are comfortable with. Once the body understands that we're not dying and this is the new set point, we're going to maintain this weight, then you're not gonna be tempted to eat more calories. This is actually how people avoid regaining weight. There's actually a show called The Biggest Loser, and these participants lose hundreds of pounds. They don't use this slow and meticulous way of dieting to get the body to adapt to this new weight. And once they lose the shitload of weight in one go, they're done with the program. And so what happens is they're like, all right, cool, now I can go back to my old life, old habit. Then they're going to be much more likely to regain the weight because the body wants to go back to the old set point. And so this set point phase or this phase where we're getting the body used to this new weight is called the maintenance phase. And you're going to bring your calories back up to maintenance and maintain your body weight at least half as long as your last diet. So if you dieted for, let's say, 4 months, then you're going to have to do the maintenance at least for 2 months. Ideally, you want the maintenance phase or the set point phase to be as long as the diet. So for example, for me, if I go on a diet and I'm doing 3 months of dieting and I do maybe like 2 months of maintaining my body weight, I'll be pretty much ready to go for another 1 or 2 months or a few months of dieting, right? That's how I do it. But just make sure that the maintenance phase is half as long as the dieting phase. Yes, it sucks maintaining your body weight and dragging out the diet and not losing all the weight at once. But let me ask you this, have you tried to lose all of your weight all at once in a diet before? And what happened? Statistically speaking, you probably regained the weight or failed the diet. This is exactly what I mentioned earlier with the people that lose a bunch of weight and then regain the weight. You're better off just taking the extra few months, extra few weeks, and actually keeping the weight off. Think about it like running a marathon in the desert. If you try to race to the finish line and you have a heat stroke and you pass out, you'll drop out of the marathon and therefore you cannot finish the marathon. But if you take breaks during the run and cool down in between bouts of runs, you won't have a heat stroke. And basically, dieting is not a race. It absolutely is not a race. Who are you racing against? It's basically a marathon. It is a marathon, okay? And so why are you trying to finish as soon as possible? I don't understand this. It takes people years and years and years to gain all of this weight. And then they want to lose all of it within 2 to 3 months. They want to lose it so quick. If you end up failing the diet, right? So let's say you try to lose all the weight and you end up like cracking because your willpower is like so low, your hunger and cravings are all the way up, right? And you have a family occasion. For example, you have a kid, right? And your kid is eating pizza at the party and you want to eat a slice of pizza. You eat the slice of pizza and now you feel guilty because you went over your calories. And then you end up just like kind of abandoning the diet because you're like, fuck it, I already ate this, right? Let me just go ahead and enjoy myself for the next week. I'll start Monday. And then by the time Monday comes around, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do another week of just like eating whatever because I'm so tired of this dieting and I just need a break. And you have a heat stroke basically, and you abandon the marathon. If you don't do the diet breaks and try and lose all the weight at once, what happens? You don't lose the weight. If you were doing really good for 3 months straight, right? And you lost 12 pounds within that last 3 months, but then you get so tired of the diet that you just leave it and you stop doing the diet and you regain all the weight. What was the point of losing all that weight? You've regained it. What purpose was there? But if another person took a total of 6 months to lose 12 pounds, but they've got that new body weight as the set point, and now their body is not fighting it as much. Who won? Well, we're not competing to see who is losing as much weight as possible as soon as possible. We're not doing that. The goal of weight loss is to lose the weight and keep it off. Unless you just want to see if you can lose weight and then regain it. But for most people, they don't want to regain the weight. The problem is that the weight keeps coming back. Take your time, actually lose the weight, and actually keep it off. So as I mentioned, once the maintenance phase is done, you can start another fat loss phase and repeat that cycle until you go ahead and get to your target body weight. Yes, it'll take some more time, and yes, it's not as fast as it could have been, but you will be able to keep the weight off and you will be able to stick to your diet. So you're going to want to do 3 to 4 mesocycles of dieting and then take half as long or as long as the mesocycles were to take a maintenance phase. You'll lose about, if you're losing 1 pound per week, you're gonna lose about 16 pounds of body fat, which is significant. That's a lot of body fat, right? And then you're going to do a maintenance phase for ideally 4 months. And then after the maintenance phase is over, if you want to lose some more weight, you go ahead and get into another dieting phase. If you don't want to lose any more weight, then you just maintain the weight. And that's exactly how you stick to your diet and not abandon the diet and actually use the lizard brain's limitations to your advantage. Eat more, lose more weight. So that's pretty much it. We covered diet fatigue and why it happens. We covered diet breaks, which are the weekends to your work days, the 4-to-1 diet to diet break ratio rule, where you can experiment with your own and see how long it takes you to make sure that diet fatigue comes off a little bit. Rules during the diet breaks to follow so that you don't go over your maintenance calories and end up regaining the weight during the weekend. And last but not least, we covered maintenance phase, where we get the body to set the new body weight as the new set point so that the body doesn't fight as hard to regain the weight. And if you have a question about this or any processes or parts of this video, then you can shoot them in the comments. If you want me to cover a certain video on fat loss or weight loss or health, please shoot them in the comments as well and I'll make a video for you. Until next time, I'll see you later. Eat more, lose more weight.